the purpose or the message of our performance was.
Don't drink and drive. To not drink and drive.
To take accountability for your actions.
Okay, cool. How was voice used throughout our performance to create elements of team?
You guys used a lot of volume in your voice to invoke a lot of different emotions, especially shock value.
The tension was really there when you guys screamed, and when you were on the floor, your voice was really good in portraying that you were like sad or like whatever. Yeah, it was really good.
Or affect the performance and how you saw it?
I think because you guys were acting like so like stereotypical in like the police environment, especially when like you guys were like you and Ruby were up front and Drayden was in the back with the table and was like asking you questions, shows like, but like the minimalistic of it like helped us how do I say this? It let us use our imagination in order to like put the pieces together to like to understand where the whole thing was going.
I think the use of the simple, like, just plain white light for the police, section really seemed like it was an interrogation. It really was kind of like the bright white lights kind of showing the truth, that kind of stuff.
I feel like the really simplistic and minimalist set really, like, made the situation feel very general and made it very applicable to, like us considering your audience, yeah.
I think for using the thrust stage gets your audience really involved because you were using like all the corners and stuff. Especially for me, when like you and Drayden were kind of going at it, you were like on top of me. So
Sorry about that.
No, you're totally good. It was amazing, but it makes it like really uncomfortable for me because it's like the interrogation scene is already uncomfortable enough to watch, but then you being like involved directly with all of us makes it like we want to get up and leave because we don't want to watch you go through that.
What was the first half of our performance, or what was like the effect of the first half of our performance being without dialogue? Or did it have an effect? If it didn't.
I feel like it lets you fill in the blanks because when you're introduced to a story, you're kind of trying to figure out what everything is going on and what the characters are doing and what their relationships are. So when you leave that up to more interpretation, I feel like once the actual shock value sets in from the car crash, the connection that you have with the characters is a little bit more personalized.
I think it set up the like relationships between the characters really well. Like you and Nathan were just kind of like in your own corner, so it kind of like showed how you guys were like friends and you guys knew each other, whereas Ruby was kind of just off and was kind of just like standing there awkwardly, and Jaden was kind of like drifting between everyone, so it kind of like set up those relationships so you knew like you guys were actually friends, but like Ruby wasn't really.
I think it kind of showed the disconnection, which was created there to kind of like help advance the story more in the end, where everyone's disconnected. This has happened because there was no communication over what one's safety was and what you shouldn't do or not in the situation. So I think that really helped it there.
I'm sorry. You're fine. Also, like, how fast the songs changed, I feel like really helped show, like, the passage of time throughout the party. And, like, the songs, like, progressively got, like, louder and, like, more teen angsty in a way to represent, like, the buildup of that, like, you knew something bad was gonna happen.
How did the conversation between me and Nathan impact the performance? Or like with Ruby and Drayden being frozen?
it helped to show how uncomfortable the feeling can be for someone in that type of situation. Yeah, that's it.
I feel like it really emphasized how this was like an internal debate that you were having within your mind, and like how guilty you felt for the murder.
You guys really?
I was gonna say the guilt effect.
To what extent did we display emotion with like, obviously like our voice, but also with like body and like using them together?
In particular, like you were right in front of me, so that's what I noticed the most. You were kind of like fidgeting when you guys were being like separately interrogated, but you were still like kind of fidgeting when you guys were like together being interrogated. So I think that like helped show like that guilt that you were trying to like portray.
I feel like all of you guys were very good at showing through your use of body, like just how uncomfortable the situation was. Ruby was very closed off. Nathan was pacing around in the back, which really showed how angry he was. And then Drayden was like clicking his pen and like writing really aggressively, also showing the like rage there.
I think the use of levels, like right at the end, was interesting because Ruby's like on a chair over there, Drayden's like hovering over you, and you are as low to the floor as you like humanly could go. And I think it just kind of showed like the dynamic of like how much guilt you felt, the power he had over you, and like Ruby's in the middle ground. Like she's not really involved, but she doesn't want to be involved, but she is. So I liked that little end bit, if that makes sense.
That effectively. What was the effect of like my like stagnant characterization? Like how did I like portray? Did I portray that effectively? Like.
Yeah, you just like, you looked like you were really awkward, like you didn't want to be there, and then when you were in the police station, you were very like, kind of like stiff, showing how it kind of wasn't fully your fault. Your nose is really
Why? Because it's warmer.
Yeah.
I feel like almost you were like the antithesis of V. If V was outgoing, you were reserved. If V lied, you told the truth. Yeah.
Okay, sick. One of our what do you
It's
have?
my question.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. My question was, to what extent was my character successful in showing his like internal struggle during the performance? So like trying to stay professional, but also like, you know.
Okay, so at the beginning during this interrogation, you're very like stirring and trying to keep it together. You're very stiff at the beginning, but then at some point you just like explode. It's like a powder keg in like a sunny day. And then you arrest them, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
You also didn't reveal your personal relationship with the victim until like later on, which kind of shows how you were trying to be professional, but then as it kept going, as they kept lying, you're like, nah, bro, I can't be professional about this. Which also, now that I'm thinking about it, probably a conflict of interest. Like, if you were actually a police officer, they probably would not put you on that case, but pre-fire.
Unemployment, it's hard.
You were definitely holding back with like the tapping and stuff. You could really tell how like you were trying to like almost like push your angle into like that part of your body to try and like not outwardly say it.
Okay, I could definitely tell you were like a person of high importance in this system, and that's why you were like, fighting, you killed him, I hate you. But also, why were you at the party?
I was a different. I had a different costume. You didn't even notice.
There was an outfit change? Okay, my
It's
bad.
a different character.
What was I gonna say? I feel like after you exploded at V, it was interesting how like slow you were saying like you have the right to remain silent. Like how slow you said that really showed that your character was trying their best to keep up their professional facade.
Yep. Oh.
Going off of Duncan's, either it meant that like he was trying to keep his cool, or I took it as like he let out his anger. Like obviously he's still like sad and like guilt ridden, but like he, like your character like finally got that anger out of his system.
Also, real quick, I don't know if the other side of the room caught it. You said, "I hope you rot" at the end. That was a raw line. I like that.
Thank you.
What? At the end of saying the Miranda rights, he says,
I'll speak in here. This might be super random, but you were doing like this rocking motion before you said it was your godson. I thought that was like a really good use of subtle body language because it didn't make sense until after you said that you had a personal connection, like why you were that kind of emotional. Yeah, distressed. Thank you.
I have things to say. Give me that. Give me that. What? It has to be separate? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I get my own section. My own. Thank you. Yes, I get my own section, my own soapbox. Next group can start setting up while I talk about this, but quietly, because I want them to hear what I'm saying. First of all, I want to say your use of voice and body in your performance, I think, was your strongest asset. Your body language was really strong. Not only in like what people were already talking about with like the guilt and the anger and like the frustration, but also with like those subtle power dynamics. Like even in, I really liked the spacing of your individual interrogations and how you kind of played off of each other. I thought that worked really, really well. And that there was just like slight nuance in like the difference of your stories because of your character's motivations, right? Like you didn't want to get in as much trouble. You were frustrated because you weren't the one driving. And I also liked that the crutch was next to you to imply that you also got hurt in this accident and that V was the only one left unscathed. So it kind of furthered that like survivor's guilt because you not only didn't die, but you didn't even get injured, right? And the other person in the car got injured as well. So I thought that worked really well. I also thought that your delivery of the Miranda rights was your strongest moment as an actor. It just felt very, like, real. It had that kind of, like, Laban's effect of, like, ringing is kind of what it felt like to me. And then, same, I liked when V noticed Nathan, right? Like, that moment I thought was really good because it was just you looking directly at him at first and just, like, talking quietly, and then it was this like explosion. So I thought that build-up was really nice. A couple questions that I have. For the party scene, it felt very awkward to me. And I wanted to know, was it intentionally awkward, or did it just end up being awkward?
I didn't meant to be awkward.
It was meant to be awkward.
Like, I was supposed to be like...
Yeah, so, like, I guess to clarify, like, it was clear that, like, Ruby's character was meant to be, like, awkward, like, maybe didn't quite fit in with the crowd, right? But I think I was a little bit confused at your relationships to each other. And honestly, at first, I thought that you would be the character to die because of the relationship established in the beginning, because it seemed like you two ended up closer and would maybe drive home together. I don't know, right? But I was, like, getting some, like, mixed signal vibes from the party. What? I mean, come on. Was that... No, it's a performance. That's what it seemed like. Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I'm just being honest. Like, it wasn't bad. Like, it made sense as the story progressed, but, like, that was a moment where I was just, like, not sure, like, what elements were intentional and what elements were maybe, like, accidental. So just, like, something to think about in the future for future performances for your real collab, right? Making sure that you kind of, like, flesh those things out. Last question. Scene changes with the lights on. Was that intentional or just circumstantial? Okay. I'd say try to be more intentional with your lighting choices in the future because it felt.
given 5 minutes.
I'm not. It's not. This isn't your talk back, Ash. This isn't your responsibility. But because it felt pretty jarring. Like it felt pretty jarring to see everything change. I think that's also why we maybe kind of struggled to notice that you had an outfit change or that your character changed because we watched you move out and onto the stage and push the stuff. So I think just like things like that, it didn't like hurt your performance, but it's just things that could be like smoothed out in the future. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Overall, I think you did a phenomenal job. I'm really proud of you, and I hope this feedback is helpful for your future improvements. The end. Thank you. There you are. Hi.
Do you feel about us not having names?
I thought it was fine because it, again, made the situation more generally applicable to a high school scenario.
I literally didn't even think about it.
Okay, well, screw you, Zakir.
That,
job.
that also,
Like, it's a good
yes.
thing
Like,
that
it wasn't
I didn't
even
even know about it.
noticeable.
Stop recording. You got my card?
You say it's like a good thing you
Okay,
guys are named.
re-say all of that. What did it do to you?
I think that it was a good decision to not give the characters names because it made the situation more generally applicable to an average high school audience.
Defined applicable.
Applicable as in like more relatable. Like this could happen to any of us. Although like if you don't drink, then that doesn't make it applicable. But other than that, like it makes it pretty applicable.
What did you think, sir?
I didn't even realize. That's how like subtle it was. It was very well done.
Thank you. What did you think?
You killed my god.
Okay, bye.
so-
Oh, okay.